Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to the One Line Racing Centre Community Cup number 13. We are at Donington Park National in the SR3s. It's time to start the Community Cup season of 2025. Finally, it's been a long wait, and I'm not on my own anymore. I'm joined tonight by my friend Chris Aglietta in the commentary booth. Chris, a very good afternoon, I think it is for you, evening for me. It's great to have you alongside me to commentate on all the action for the One Line Racing Centre. How are you this good afternoon?
Thanks, Dan. Well, I gotta say, it is Sunday, and it is race day here in Austin, Texas, and of course the UK at Donington Park. And I'm pretty fired up. I spent a lot of the weekend just watching various races because for me, this is really the first race weekend of the year, both in the sim world and in IRL. We can get to talking about that later, but glad to be here, new to the scene, and just meeting so many great folks from this tremendous community. And I've heard a lot about this series and the drivers and all the effort folks are putting in at One Line, and just really glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
See it, Anthony Wen at the moment out in qualifying, 12 and a half bit minutes left. It's once again great to see so many names that we've seen so often in the Community Cup. Drivers coming back in 2025 as well. It's the month of January, Chris, and that usually means one thing: kick off the real life racing season with the Rolex 24 at Daytona. And it also means that a new sim racing season starts in most of our simulators, of course. One of our main simulators, and of course, set a course at the One Line Racing Centre. Community Cup number 13, the first of 2025. We've seen Joey Dom, Anthony Wen, Ishwagazan, Jay Craig, AJ Masek, so many names that we've seen here before. One of the drivers that you also know is Ryan Collins. It's great to have them back. What do you think we can expect in 2025?
Yeah, it seems like you would know better than me, but there's a lot of new drivers here on the grid, some real fast hot lappers. We have yet to see how they'll perform in traffic. We do have some proven commodities, of course, with Anthony Wynn at the top, and familiar faces like Orion. I understand he was late to the grid today, and I happen to know that he's a Miata driver, so maybe you should look into that new model with the extra horsepower, maybe cut down that timing to get to the track. Here it is January in Austin, Texas, and perhaps just for this race, Austin, Texas is pretending to be the UK, so it's quite cold here, so really getting those Donington vibes today. Glad that I'm not the one in an open cockpit car with wind blasting at my neck through the suit and so forth.
It looks like quite a good day actually at Donington Park. Sun's out, sun shining on the cars, the track, the drivers, and the sun is also shining on AJ Masek, who's gone to pole 105.552. Jesus, a lot of fives in there. Anthony Wen at the moment a tenth behind that, searching for an answer. Joey Dom, also someone who we expect to be up there in the top three. Who is driving then today? It's Anthony Wen who's driving together with Chase Black, Jack Dennison, Jay Craig, of course, little names that we know already. One of those is also Joey Dom, AJ Masek, Ishwagazan, Ryan Collins. All drivers that we know already. Ethan Doherty is one of our new drivers here this evening. Great to have him on the grid together with Matt Haynes, also new on the grid. And we have Leopold Atencio. Hope I pronounced that correctly. A bit of a Spanish accent on there.
Well, I can't outdo that. Yeah, definitely a great group here. I've never been to Donington Park in person. Definitely a bucket list track for me. Perhaps even more exciting to me to visit than Silverstone. Should I go over to the UK at some point?
I don't know, Chris. In my opinion, of course, Silverstone is an amazing track. But it's a bit overhyped with Formula One, of course, going there. It is the most popular track in the UK. But I feel like there are so many golden gems in the UK. You have Donington Park, you have Catwall Park. I mean, not a track where you would necessarily want to send Formula One cars around. But boy, is that fun. in, for example, say a Miata, a Radical SR3, just any car that can go around corners well or doesn't have too much horsepower compared to its weight, will just be fun around that track. Um, yeah, I think, in my opinion, Silverstone is a bit overhyped just because Formula One really goes there. What's your opinion on that?
I definitely agree. A few days ago, I went over to visit with the guys at One Line, and of course, had a great experience and did their hand meet challenge, I believe it's called, inspired, I guess, by Lewis Hamilton, where they have bronze, silver, gold time standards in the F1 car, and that was my first time on Silverstone, and yeah, quite a doozy. That car combo and that track certainly presented a lot of challenge, but I have to say, the hardware at One Line is really the best you can get. It is top level stuff, and so the challenge in sim racing is understanding what the car is doing, receiving that information primarily through force feedback in your hands. But of course, the rigs at One Line are the best, and so they have 4-post motion. And that just did a lot to kind of tell me what the car is doing and really just tell me how slow I was, to be honest.
I mean, I've got to be honest with you. We've of course had the Daytona 24 in sim racing this weekend. Competed in that myself. Actually won it.
Oh wow!
With my team.
Honest, led with that.
Yeah, we did quite well. Oh man, it's such a stretch always. You know, we had 3 drivers. Luckily managed to find a fourth just about before the start of the race, but he was only able to do about 5 stints in the LMP2, which, I mean, comes down to about 2 hours 40. Still some time, at least for one of the drivers, to get some sleep. Luckily, I was one of those drivers. But, I mean, the point where I was going with this is it's so great to get the season underway again. Of course, this track, one of my favorites in the UK with this car. We have got the slightly shorter version. We're missing the S's and we're missing Melbourne hairpin. But that's about it. All the other corners are the same. We still have 10 corners of this track. Joy Dom, it's gone off. I think that's gone into McLean's. But one of the best corners, I think, on any UK track is Coppice. So difficult, you can't really see the exit. Turn 8, uphill. You turn in, there's no one there as soon as you go over the crest. Here, AJ Massic's going through it now. The next right-hander, it's kind of a double apex right-hander. Here's the first. Want to catch the second here. Okay, you can go wide there. It's not that big of a deal, but it's such a tricky corner. As soon as you turn in and you go over that crest, you just lose all front grip. You try and gather that back by throttling, braking, not necessarily by just throttle control really on the exit of that corner. It's, in my opinion, one of the best corners in racing.
It is, leading to a long straight, very rewarding to nail, and it does bring up a memory I'd like to share real quick. Is you probably know AJ Allmendinger, the Dinger, who's a prolific NASCAR driver and kind of a road course guru in that world. In one of my first endurance races in iRacing, he was trying to, of course, lap me on that turn, and I guess I wasn't predictable or did something, and he completely dressed me down, completely cursed me out. So vivid memory to have a hero kind of hate on you right in the middle of a race. I will say, for me, the old hairpin, turn 4, has always been a tricky turn. You're coming downhill, lower grip in the brake zone, and you got to kind of, hook it through this little valley, back uphill again, and carry a ton of speed. And I find that to be a turn. It's just easy to kind of flick it off track almost every time.
Of course, there is no ABS in these cars either, Chris, so it's so easy with all the weight on the front of the car to just lock up and go absolutely straight into the old hairpin. And of course, there isn't much runoff on the exit there. You do have the possibility, and we will see quite a couple of drivers, I think, especially in racing situations, go wide. First lap will be hairy through there. But, I mean, I would definitely agree. Also a great corner on this track. Absolutely on the limit of every car that you can send around this track. Here you go, Jay Gray going through it now. There is room on the exit, but as soon as you go, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
The corner doesn't stop as soon as you exit it. It's the full exit curb there will, I mean, it's so tricky. AJ Massick finding that out on, I think, what is his 4th lap in qualifying. Looking at our provisional standings, though, it's, normal drivers have retained the top spot. It's Anthony Wen and Chase Black in P1 and 2. Then Jay Craig in third. The gap between Anthony Wen and Chase Black only a tenth of a second. 1:05.155 for Anthony Wen. Ryan Collins, here he is, arriving late to the scene today, as you said, Chris. Doesn't look like that's hampering his pace whatsoever.
No, he's a pro. He's composure. And having worked with him in person, I can tell you he's a very patient guy. So I look forward to seeing how he runs this race. I think that the one-line staff are real smart to remove the hairpin and kind of simplify this course. You know, we all know the temptation of dive bombing and all, and so taking that out of the equation a little bit with the hairpin, I think is really smart. But what we're left with is just a really fast track where, when you look at the order here, the gaps are 1 and 2/10 all the way, you know, from top to bottom. So it's a track that's about carrying speed and being consistent, and it's going to be fun to see how these folks do over 30 minutes here.
Yeah, of course, every Community Cup, just like last year, will be a 30-minute race. Before that, we have a 20-minute qualifying, of which we have 2.5 minutes left. We're getting to the business end of qualifying here, Chris. Like I said, Anthony Wen on pole. Chase Black is searching for an answer. Seems to be on a good lap here. Do you think he can at least pip in by what is needing to be at least 1,000 of a second to go ahead of him?
Looks like a good lap. I saw a small lockup. A little bit of grass there. Might have taken a few tenths out that he needed. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, so not quite yet, but he's got time for, this will be his, I think he'll have this one and then one more to go before we see a checker flag. So this is exciting.
Have some toe up ahead from AJ Masek, I think that is. That'll slightly help him out too.
Yeah, I'm curious about that toe. Do you need to be within a second, or I'm trying to calibrate to a Seto, and then of course this car. I'd imagine as a downforce car that any draft would be a significant improvement down the straight. So it should be interesting during the race as gaps open up, you know, to see how the battles unfold.
Yeah, I mean, it is a car with downforce. AJ Masek decides not to give Chase Black a slipstream down the straight,
right.
Although not all on purpose, I think. But Chase Black coming into the hairpin, or excuse me, the chicane now, and that's just a little bit too much.
I think that'll be it for his attempt here at pole, given that his entry in the final lap will be compromised. Really great effort, though. This is going to be a great battle with those two. I think they're very close.
The question is, what can Anthony Wen do? Still has got Jay Craig and I think Joey Dom and AJ Masek, who could try and pip him to the pole position. However, Anthony Wen might be able to answer his own lap time here. This won't be his last attempt. He will have one more after this. Will he set up for that? It looks like it.
Oh no!
On the exit, and that will for sure at least compromise his next attempt, and for sure ruin his attempt that he was just on. We will never know if he was on any improvement, because that would have at least taken about a half a second to 7/8 out of his lap time there. So Anthony Wen won't improve either. Joey Dom, next one on the list, needs, well, let's say 4/10 here to get to provisional pole. AJ Masek, next one across the line. Can he do it about the same time as Joey Dom? Across the line for AJ Masek. Can't do it either. Stays in 5th. But you can see how close it is at the top, Chris. I think we're in for a cracking battle here.
For sure, and I just really enjoy this open qualifying format. Not something that I get to experience ever on iRacing. So this is a good time, and things happen like we just saw. So you never know what's going to go on.
AJ Masek still continuing here. I'm not quite sure if he did get across the line in time. By my visual representation, at least, he didn't by quite some margin. But maybe just choosing to continue to get that extra lap of practice in here.
I don't see the checker flag next to his name, so I'm curious what happened there with timing and scoring. So this could be an exciting lap. He's still pushing.
All the drivers back in pit lane. Jay Craig in 3rd, will stay in 3rd, also continuing on for his next lap. Alright, there's AJ Masek into the pits. Of course, strategy not necessarily something that we include here at the One Line Racing Center. Races are, I wouldn't say too short, but fuel tanks are big enough on these cars. We don't need to include, of course, any pit stops. Fuel usage, I think, is even off. Tire wear is off. So nothing like that to take into account. Still, pit entry, good thing to practice for if you do need it. Anthony Wendell has taken pole position for the first Community Cup of 2025. Chase Black in second ahead of Jay Greg, rounding off the top three. Then Joey Dom in fourth, AJ Masek in fifth. You can see how close it is between those two. Only 0.04 of a second separating Joey Dom and AJ Masek. Then it's Orion Collins arriving late to the scene. Only 0.2 behind AJ Masek in fifth. Then it's Dennison in P7, Azam in 8th, Haynes in 9th, Doherty in 10th, and Athentio in P11. A good spread, I would say, throughout the whole field. Seems like everyone is in a battle with someone at least. But the battle that I'm, of course, looking forward to the most is that battle at the front of the field. It looks like we have at least 5 drivers in with a shot of winning this one. And maybe Orion Collins, an outside bet too.
So walk me through the start procedure. Is this standing start or a pace lap? What's the procedure here?
We'll have a standing start. We're just waiting, I think, for everyone to catch a breather before we go into the race. I think everyone just getting ready, maybe taking the last sip of their drink before they go into their 30-minute race. Of course, 30 minutes on end, as they say in Germany. There is no break. So, of course, you have to manage...
No stages like NASCAR.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
I do have to say, now that we do have a break, Chase, I might be one of the only people you meet from Europe that's actually very interested in NASCAR. I do watch all of the races. I'm very excited for the Daytona 500 in, 29 days by now?
Coming up. Yeah, well, glad to know you got another NASCAR fan over here as well. It's hard to watch all the races. There's just so many, though. Okay, here we go with the grid forming.
All right, one more walk through the grid, Dan. It's Anthony Wen and Chase Black at the front of the field, forming the front row of the grid. Then it's Jay Greg and Joey Dom on the second row, AJ Mascara and Collins on row 3, Dennison and Azam on row 4, Haynes and Doherty on row 5, and Asensio at the back of the grids in P11. It's a 30-minute race ahead of us. Drivers are patiently waiting. Here come the 6 red lights that are on. As soon as they're out, we're underway and racing. And that's now. It's a good start for our pole sitter. Chase Black also with a good one. Looks like our front row Chris got off to a good start here. Jay Craig at the inside of Joey Dom. AJ Masek looking for a way through. Orion Collins dropping down the order. Courtesy of Ishfaq Azam trying to overtake him and managing to do so. Dennison is also down the order. Doherty managing to pick up a position on Haynes. Asensio also off the back of the grid now.
Yeah, it looked like a 6-wide start from my perspective. That was pretty exciting, but glad everyone could keep it off each other and get it clean. We're ready to go for a good one here. And drivers doing their best. I believe the tires in this oh, we got a grass taker here. The tires have got to get up to pressure, so we might see a little dicey slides and stuff in the first couple laps as the cars really come in.
Across the grass was Ishfaq Azam. He's back into 10th now. We have got a spinner, I think, on the first lap. Matt Haynes has gone round. He's 8 seconds back at the back of the field now. Oh, that's a spin, I think, for Joey Dom and Chase Black having to go with him. No other choice then, either going with him or running into Joey Dom. And that's demoted both of them down the grid. Joey Dom into 7th, Chase Black down to 10th.
Argy-bargy here, yeah, a lot of late moves going on. I think we might be forgetting it's a 30-minute race, but it's always hard to fight that red mist, especially with a car like this that is just so wild and high performance.
Oh boy, you said it. Tires having to get up to pressure. Car will be tricky to handle. Just a little bit too tricky, it looked like, for Joey Dom. We don't see too many mistakes from Joey of that severity, but well, Joey Dom taking Chase Black with him. Chase Black really didn't have any other option than either running into Joey Dom, which you for sure do not want, or just, well, taking avoiding action and going with him off the track. Chase Black on the recovery drive now. Asensio, first one to take off the list into turn 8. And, well, that's moved on for Chase Black up into 9th. Next one on the list is Fagazam.
He's got some work. We see Tony up front with a 3.5 second gap. So hopefully Orion and P2 can work together and go for catch, and we'll be left with a great battle here.
Jay Craig 3.4 seconds back, then a 2.1 second gap to Orion Collins. He'll be happy with that, starting from P6 up into the podium positions on the first 2 laps. I don't think he would be expecting that if he saw the caliber he had in front of him. AJ Masek now under attack from Joey Dom here. Dorothy also up into P5. Here goes Joey Dom trying to swoop around the outside as AJ Masek does so.
Oh no, tried to close it.
It was a bit too late, I think, from Doherty. He had one coming, the other one tried to follow. Doherty having none of it, but paying the price because of it.
Jumped right into that vortex of danger, as Randy Prost would say. Oh no, we got 2 in the grass.
And it's Chase Black again. This race has gone from bad to worse, and it isn't getting better for Chase Black either. I have a feeling that, well, we can count Chase Black out for the victory here today. This is a 2-wide moment into the chicane. Never really a point where you want to go side by side. AJ Masek losing 2 positions as they do so. Joey Dom on an absolute rampage here. Has ticked off a couple already. Ishvagazam already ticked off together with AJ Masek in the span of 2 corners there, Chris. I have a feeling Joey Dom has the bit between his teeth here after the early incident in this race.
For sure, I think we're going to see him power back here. He's going to need to do some clean racing and be strategic with his passes. Really can't afford to have any more door banging like this. Luckily, there is no damage, so we're seeing healthy cars out here, and no one's down on speed.
It's always good to see. I think a good choice to leave damage off here, as I think we would have had quite a couple of cars already either in the pit lane for repairs on pit road, or at least severely down on speed. Jack Dennison, sorry, excuse me, into the chicane in 4th now, chasing down Orion Collins, 9/10 the gap at the minute. But, I mean, Jake Dennison coming into this race, well, seeing himself as the 3rd seat into this race, that really does show you though, Chris, that hot lapping isn't everything. A race, of course, is... Oh, that's Joey Dom again! Oh my goodness, these two are having an absolute nightmare. Chase Black is about to catch up to his nemesis in this race, Joey Dom. The gap is only 2 seconds here. You can see him right in front of him. But Chase Black and Joey Dom back together here.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a race of pace versus kind of patience and IQ. A lot of time left for things to develop here. Hard to believe that we're only just surpassed the 5-minute mark in the race.
So much has happened already. I mean, it feels like we've had a whole hour of action already here on the first couple of laps. Now, I did see, as AJ Masek closes that gap to Azam massively in the braking zone. He's going to try and do a little bit of a cutback coming out of the chicane. Is he going to manage to pull it off? Looks like he has at least the pace to pull alongside the outside for turn 1. Azam smart enough to at least not fight it too hard here. I do say that, but he's on the edge of the grid there.
Yeah, well, I saw a little mock-up for him in the brake zone, so his tire was probably a little hot, got back on the gas, and just kind of squirreled the rear a bit. As we saw with the in-car there, the performance on these cars is just blistering. The braking performance, the acceleration, but really that mid-corner speed with all that aero combined with the torque of this Suzuki Hayabusa engine just drives off so well. Really unique car. Probably it's really the first car in the prototype ladder. Very, very exciting car to drive.
Yeah, it's I mean, if you want to get into prototype cars, then this is, I mean, in my opinion, one of the best cars to learn it in, and one of the cheaper prototypes actually to do it in too. Chase Black here. We go again. Joey Dom on the outside, Chase Black on the inside. Deja vu, we've been here before. This time though, it's Chase Black going through successfully. Joey Dom not spinning this time. And Chase Black up into 8th here. It looks like Chase has got a bit more pace at this moment in time. Not giving it up though is Joey Dom. Looking for a way around the outside.
here.
These two are so far down the order that I think the race win is out of the question. It'll just be a matter of having a good fight here, trying to catch up as many positions as they can. I do have a feeling they have got the pace to at least get back up to what could possibly be a top 5 here. But never say never, we might see some mistakes from the drivers up front too. Previous experiences do tell me that Anthony Wen isn't I mean, he makes mistakes, even though they're not big. He does lose a second or two here and there sometimes. He even said in an interview at some point that in every race he makes at least one mistake. And let's be honest, Chris, it's so difficult, especially in a car like this, to stay absolutely mistake-free for 30 minutes straight. But he's got a 5.6 second gap. At that point, do you think, okay, let's just take it back a percent or two here, take it back a notch or two, drive at like 95% and just at least maintain the gap or take a little bit less risky?
I think that would be the wise move. I'd be curious to see their lap times and the trend on that over time, but I think he's kind of in that Lewis Hamilton position of just managing the gap at this point.
I
had the rare opportunity of... Yeah, ooh, another one here. There was that mistake that you spoke of. Looks like Anthony's just coming out of the gravel pit there. And the gap to P2 has dropped down to 3.2 seconds. So it is racing. Anything can happen. Things are getting exciting.
Oh boy, I have a feeling I'm going to be getting some angry letters in my mail tomorrow morning. Anthony Wen, commentator's curse striking him. I'm sorry already, Anthony, if you can hear me, of course, racing at the One Line Racing Center. We're blasting through the speakers there too. I'm sorry, Anthony. I do really apologize. Jay Craig now 2.8 seconds back though. I love a bit of a fight for the lead. Ryan Collins 4 seconds back of those two. Then it's Dennison on the back, 6/10 away from him. Joey Dom not letting Chase Black go whatsoever. It looks like that toe is really helping him to stay with Chase here.
Yeah, these cars with that downforce are at the same time extremely challenging yet forgiving, and really make for sort of the perfect gentleman's driver's car, which I would consider most folks to be, except for the most elite. They of course don't have any traction control or ABS, so you have to be very careful with your inputs. But that downforce does afford you a little bit of correction should you get into a slide or lose the rear like you're seeing.
It's the best way to learn, isn't it? Without traction control, without ABS. If you can drive a car without ABS, you can drive one with. If you can drive a car without traction control, you can drive one with. So it's just the best way to learn it. Like we said earlier on, it's one of the best prototype cars to start out in. And it's one of the cheaper ones too. Now, my point that I wanted to touch on earlier on in this race, but they're not letting me get to whatsoever, is that I saw an interview earlier on today with Max Verstappen. Yeah, boys, I am going to continue with this now. I saw an interview with Max Verstappen saying that if you do want the realism of driving, you got to have some kind of motion simulator. And I mean, that's what those guys are at the moment provided with at the One Line Racing Center. He said you do miss, of course, the G-forces, but the closest thing getting to that is a motion sim.
Oh, and do they have motion? I believe they have about 6 inches of travel. And let me tell you, if you miss a turn, particularly in that F1 car, and hit a sausage curve, it's going to throw your butt off the seat. It definitely provides much more physical drive, and like I was saying earlier, a lot more of that necessary feedback. It's quite an experience. If you're in the Austin area, you haven't been in one of these, come on by. It is worth every cent to experience it.
Well, I would love to come by.
Come on. Yeah, well, NASCAR COTA is my favorite weekend of the year. That's coming up in March.
Oh, look. It's tempting, Chris. It's tempting. It's flights to America are so expensive from Schiphol, though.
That's right. I do think we have a direct flight to Amsterdam, though. I had the opportunity to ride in one of these Radicals, the previous generation, at a local track here called the Driveway. It was a bachelor party with some friends came to town, and we all paid to get some hot laps from the local legend Bill Dolhide. And the Driveway is a very tight little track, just like this one. With there's really two. The Driveway is really a 2-lane track. This is probably 3 or so, but it kind of melted my brain and then consequently melted my wallet because I just had to have more of that adrenaline and then really got into motorsports afterwards. But really special experience.
Into the chicane, we've been here before. This time Chase Black choosing to stay behind Joey Dom, who's gotten back past him now into P7. He goes. There's been some drama up ahead, I feel like, because Dennison all of a sudden lost a lot of time there. Azam is now 6 seconds up ahead of Dennison. He's still losing time coming out of turn 1. Joey Dom now right up the rear bumper of Dennison. 6th is in the cards here for these two. And after the drama that they both had, that would be, well, an achievement to say the least.
I'm excited to watch this battle for P3. Massock within a second of Orion. Orion's been consistent, but I think Massock has the pace. So we'll see what Ryan chooses to do. Does he let him through and follow? Which probably would be my call. Or get into a battle.
Right there.
Yeah.
While you were talking about that, an absolute send from Joey Dom going into turn 6. I mean, it's not really a corner where you usually send it, to be honest, but I mean, McLean's also a great corner on the track and not a lot of runoff on the exit. Also a corner where we see usually a couple of drivers dip their left-hand side tires onto the grass. Now Chase Black coming through on Dennison. The floodgates have opened for the driver currently down in P8, Dennison. 3/10 back on Chase Black. Let's see if Chase is able to close that gap to Joey Dom now.
It looked like Dennison chose to let him through to just follow. I think that was a really smart move.
Doherty is only, what, 2.5 seconds back from this. If you can follow Chase for a bit, open up that gap a bit further, at least it will at least consolidate your position you're in at the moment. AJ Masek on the gearbox of Orion Collins. I mean, he's been here for quite a while now, to be honest. Has been as close as 6/10 of a second, but at the moment Orion Collins just eating up that pressure that he's had. I mean, for this whole race, the whole half of this race. Now we're coming up to halfway complete, and AJ Masek still about a second and a half away from Orion Collins. That gap, I think, is now the biggest it has been so far in this race. So Collins just slowly but surely trying to eke out a gap now. Consistency, trying to, or at the moment, showing through for Orion Collins.
Yeah, I feel like Orion heard my comment about the pace and has turned up the wick here. Good on him.
Good to know that he has that extra gear if he needs it. Might just be minimizing the risk that he's taking, something that Anthony Wen should also really be doing. And as I said, prone to a mistake. I don't want to commentator curse him again, so I'm going to leave it at that. But we did see that mistake from him already, so let's hope for the rest of this race he can stay mistake-free. Jay Craig at the moment with a 6-second gap. That gap was as low as, I think, 2.8 seconds about 5 to 6 laps ago. So Anthony Wen also turning up the wiki, slowly but surely eking out that gap. I think he can get that gap upwards of 10 seconds.
And we see the gap between Collins and Crange opening up as well, while Orion is still holding off Massock. So interesting what's going on here. Would not have expected this, but see how this finish out here, past the halfway mark.
Well, the battle between Chase Black, Joey Dom, also still 1.3 seconds between the two. That battle, AJ Masek. I think he's just overtaken one of the lap cars here. It did close that gap from 1.5 to 1 second again, so it seems like Masek a bit better through the traffic. Something that I didn't really think would be coming into play in a 30-minute race, but traffic also being very nice. I don't know who that is. I think that might be Asencio, who's, well, very nicely letting everyone past, not making it too difficult, knowing that the drivers that are behind him are of a bit of a different pace. It's just better maybe for himself to try and stick behind, maybe try and learn a thing or two.
Yeah, I do appreciate the level of respect out here. I think it definitely makes a difference. You know, there you go, Masek going off there trying to chase down Orion.
No, that's Joey Dom once again having an off moment.
Ooh.
Chase Black right up his gearbox again. And I mean, that just makes it all the more impressive of what Orion Collins has been doing here this evening. It was, I think, a lap or 3 or 4 that Joey Dom had the pressure now from Chase Black being 1.3 seconds back. And already made a mistake, but Orion Collins just sucking up all that pressure. Oh, and another mistake, another collision coming out of the chicane, and both Chase Black and Joey Dom have gone round once again.
You hate to see it.
This is, I mean, these two, at this point, they might get up out of their rigs and have a fist fight after this race. This is, I mean, this has been a bit of a belter for the both of them. Bad luck once again for Chase Black, just catching Joey Dom on the exits of the chicane. What I think happened there was Joey Dom just unsettling the car a bit too much over the sausage curb of the second apex of the chicane and just spinning the rear end of that SR3 around. And, well, Joey or Chase Black just catching him at the wrong time. Can't seem to catch a break, either of the two.
Definitely not a car you want to run over big curves, heavy downforce. You're going to have heavy springs in the front and basically just bounce right off it, as we saw. Another spin in the background there. It's challenging.
Yeah, Masek still a second back on Orion Collins. Doherty is in the pits now. This is not something we usually see. But, I mean, it is true. We did see his car go back to pit lane. It might be a retirement from this race, which would be sad to see. Masek, do you think, I mean, he's been this far off, this close to Orion Collins, however you want to call it, for, I mean, 20 minutes basically already. Do you think he can close that gap up at some point?
Well, we're now under a second with the draft, so if it's going to happen, it's going to happen pretty soon here with 10 minutes to go in the race. We're really just looking at a nice consistency battle. These may not be the two fastest cars on the track, but they've been wildly consistent in it, and that's what really matters in a 30-minute race and kind of in the world of sim racing, kind of in the middle lane. So they're really thinking about the long game, just clean starts and clean all the way through.
It's a matter of consistency, really. Maybe Orion can go about a tenth or two quicker.
Oh no, there you go.
Race leaders go round. Is this the opportunity for Jay Craig? He has to get going quickly. There goes Jay Craig round the outside, taking the race lead from Anthony Wen. There's that mistake that we were talking about. Anthony has got the pace, I feel, to catch back up here, but he's given that race lead to Jay Craig. Well, he'll be laughing in the cockpit, but he was there to pick up the pieces when Anthony Wen dropped them, and we have a new race leader, Jay Craig, up into the lead with 9 minutes to go here.
Wow, can Anthony close that gap? You know, he's got that, probably that rage drive going on, raging at himself for the mistake. But like you said, you know, mistakes happen. Just depends on, you know, what the recovery can look like. You know, can you keep your composure?
Well, he'll be wanting to get those tires back into the right window in terms of temperature. They'll be overheating a little. AJ Masick, there's your answer to being able to close up that gap. It's all of a sudden all kicking off here at Donington Park with 8 minutes to go in this race. Ryan Collins now properly under pressure from AJ Masick, taking the outside for McLean's. Not a place where you usually overtake, but the switchback is possible going into Coppice, taking the inside now for the right-hander. AJ Masick might get him at the first time of asking. He has got him at the first time of asking.
I really applaud that. Great, respectful driving. Let's see if Orion's going to come back, taking the inside line into the chicane before the front straight. What's going to happen?
Ryan Collins inside for the first right-hander. Inside will be for, big lock-up move for AJ Masick. I mean, he's been struggling on the brakes, I feel like, the whole evening. He's been locking up into that corner, left, right, and center. And once again, that corner is coming back to bite him. And because of that, he's now also lost his position to Azam, who's now gone up into P4. We might have a 3-horse race here. A mistake from Azam allowing AJ Masick back through. It's, oh boy, it's a pinball battle here between the three of them. But Ryan Collins still coming out ahead.
You see the gap between P1 and 2 with Anthony sitting at 2 seconds, now 1.9. So we do have 7 minutes to go. I'd say the top 5 are completely up for grabs right here. This is quite a race.
Anthony Wen, last couple of laps, hasn't really been gaining on Jay Craig, so he has to find some more pace. Maybe Jay Craig had some more pace in his locker too, who knows? It's just under 7 minutes remaining here at the lap times that we are doing. I think that is, for these drivers, about 7 more laps remaining. For the leaders, about 6.5 here soon. So still quite a lot of racing to go. So don't count anyone out here yet. The gap from Ryan Collins, though, is 12 seconds to the leading pair. I'm feeling he might just have to take a P3.
We'll see. AJ's right back in the mix here, so we'll see how the pressure goes. Closing it down, about to head up to the back straight with a nice draft. So we'll see who takes the inside and outside. I think we'll be seeing moves pretty quickly here.
Second is the gap now. Ryan Collins has been coping with the pressure so well. But the closer that finish line gets, the more that pressure ramps up, the more he'll be saying to himself, okay, one more time. Just one more time now. And he's getting closer to the promised land of a podium. Here's Ryan Collins, gap down to 1.2 now. There's the mistake from Jay Craig, also feeling the pressure of a Radical champion. Of course, don't forget, Anthony Wen is champion in the SR3s, so he knows this car inside out. Jay Craig is going to feel that pressure from an SR3 champion soon here. Gap is 6/10 here, Chris.
Yeah, and we see Orion pulling away a little bit from P4 and 5, so the battle continues really there for that 4th spot as Orion has a little breather. Under 5 minutes to go.
I'm finding it difficult to think of a way that Jay Craig is going to be able to hold off Anthony Wen here with, I mean, just the relentless pace that he's been showing the whole afternoon already.
Oh, what's going on?
5.2 last time round.
Oh, Ryan.
For Anthony Wen. 5.8 this time round. Constantly in the 05s is Anthony Wen. So Jay Craig is gonna have to find an extra gear here to try and stay ahead of Anthony Wen. Has got about 4 minutes left. There was some action going on down in pit lane, and that's not where you want to see action really in these races, Chris.
No, that's the expensive place to be. You're paying to be here and paying to repair your car. You do not want to be here.
It's Azam also about 7/10 back of Masick in P4. But we're continuing to focus on this battle for the race lead. Can Anthony Wen, well, take back the race lead?
You can afford to move or wait for a mistake.
Well, I have a feeling I mean, time isn't really with Anthony Wen, so he's going to have to go for a move here, I feel. The question is, can he get close enough out of any of the corners? If Jay Gray just focuses on the exit of every corner, I don't think there's realistically a good overtaking opportunity into any corner here. There's not really a corner where I would say this is a heavy braking zone except the chicane. If you make sure you get a good exit out of Coppice, you wouldn't really be under pressure. AJ Masick, 3/10 back of Orion Collins. We go back to the battle at the front of the field. No, we go back to AJ Masick. Orion Collins under pressure once again from AJ Masick here. Can AJ close that gap and get past at last? He's been looking at the rear end of that light blue and red Radical SR3 for 27.5 minutes already. He's had enough of it. But he's still got to make the move, Chris. And that's easier said than done, I feel like, on Orion Collins.
Absolutely. No time for lockups here into the big brake zone. Well executed. Oh, little lockup there at the turning. Interesting how it does that.
Yeah, he's been on edge, really, the whole evening in that chicane. To be honest, it's been the point where AJ Masick has been losing basically all of his time on a lap. He's quick everywhere except the chicane at the ends of the track. Obviously, if you want to set a quick lap, that's a crucial part. Anthony Wentz closed the gap up to 0.4 of a second. There is a slipstream up ahead for Jay Craig too, though, which might just be a saving grace. Or if that lap car is not going quick enough, it might just be in the way. Here's that toe now for Jay Craig. It will negate any advantage that Anthony Wen is getting. Lap car getting out of the way for both of them. That's great sportsmanship. And, well, a great overview of the race too. Knowing where you are in the race, knowing who's behind you. You support every single driver and every single move like that. That's great to see. Letting the two at the front of the field fighting it out of their own. He's got two more laps left here, Anthony Wen, to do something.
He is completely sending it. The way he threw it over that sausage curb completely proved me wrong. Anything is possible with a good drive-by.
Anthony Wen, here he comes. Can he get the exits out of the old hairpin? Turn 4 on this 10-turn track.
Looking for that overlap.
Will he go inside of McLean's? Not really a corner, like I said, where you want to try something. He did try at least to force an issue, and it's forced an issue upon himself. Gap back up to 0.8. And with only the chicane and one more lap to go, it's going to be difficult to see him catch up. AJ Masick, like I said, quick everywhere except the chicane. Inside for Orion Collins, going into Coppice. Make sure you get a good exit here onto the straight. And, well, you're basically untouchable going into the chicane. It's becoming a 4-horse race. Orion Collins, AJ Masick, Ishfaq Assam, and Joey Dom at last might be able to get up to the podium here. AJ sending it into the chicane. Orion Collins swooping it round. The same is the case for Azam. Joey Dom coming round the outside, making it 3 wide, going on to the start-finish straight now. This is intense battling at the front of the top 3 here.
Really great for them to take it forward. Oh no.
AJ Masick's gone round, and Joey Dom, look at this! From spinning on the first lap, spinning on what was the 4th lap of this race, having another spin on lap number, well, what was it? I think 17, coming back to take P3. This is the battle, though, at the front of the field. Jay Craig has got one more corner to survive, to take what would be a sensational victory. Anthony Wen, is he going to send it? The question is, can he get the exit to run to the line? No, he can't! No. Overcooks it, the spin! Has 19 seconds though, but Jay Craig wins Community Cup number 13. The question is, can Anthony Wen get it done before Joey Dom overtakes him? The answer is yes, he can. Just about. Though Joey Dom 19 seconds back of Anthony Wen. We'll see what the gap is coming across the line. Joey Dom takes a 3rd place after opening heroics here at Donington Park. I think that's a pretty sensational result, to say the least.
What a race.
Ishfaq Assam coming through to take P4 as well. Orion Collins. Oh boy, you have to feel bad for him. It looked like for so long he's going to take a podium, but at the death of it, the last lap of the race, the exit out of the chicane, turning onto the last lap of the race, just not quite good enough. And, well, Joey Dom showing the quality he's made of. Sadly, Ryan Collins having to pay for a tiny mistake.
Great to see the field come back together for such terrific racing here in the last 5-10 minutes. Just excellent sportsmanship all around, and very refreshing to see. I think it's just such a pure form of race. Not only are they on fixed setups with a lot of variables removed, but they're on the exact same hardware sitting next to each other. So I only wish I was in that room, maybe crack a beer or something with them, and a little high fives. But what a great environment there in one-line racing. Well, it's been a pleasure for me to join you, Dan. Look forward to it sometime in the future, and just way to go. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I am freeballing this. I want to see when the next race is. I'm just going to the onelineracing.com website. Feel free to go there yourself. That's also where you can book your sessions if you do want to go and take part in any of these races. Maybe try and qualify yourself for one of these community cups, and maybe we'll see you in one of these live streams. Would love to have you in the field as well. So let's see.
I'm told the next race is going to be somewhat go-kart like. That sounds pretty exciting. Departure from some of the higher downforce cars. I may have to get in my car now and head up there and start qualifying.
Well, you've got to be next to me in the booth, Chris. Anyways, It's been a great race. Next Community Cup will be on the 2nd of February. We're looking forward to that one already. Until then, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Chris, for being alongside me in the booth. It's been a real pleasure. Stay safe until the 2nd of February when we are back with Community Cup number 14. Until then, goodbye for now.
Over and out. Take care.